everyone, I'm Randi Larson from the Generative AI Innovation Center at AWS. We're capturing the raw, unfiltered conversations that tell you what the what is when it comes to AI. In this episode, we're dropping into Washington, D.C. to uncover the type of AI that's quietly changing lives in the background. Not by showing off, but by showing up. Forget the hype, forget the flashiness of it all. We're here to talk today about the technology that's silently making our lives just plain better. Think about enriching the classroom with more educational resources, or tech that just makes family movie night a little bit better because you can find the content that you're looking for. That's the tech that doesn't quite have its moment too often enough. And today we're going to change that. Artificial intelligence that works behind the scenes to quietly change how we live, how we work, how we play. That's the good stuff when it comes to tech, and for AI, it's no different. I'm Randi Larson with the AWS Generative AI Innovation Center, and here with me today is Mikey Centrella, here with PBS, of course, the ones who brought us the beloved Sesame Street, and of course, Frontline. He heads up the innovation team there. And Sri Elaprolu, our incredible leader within the AWS Generative AI Innovation Center. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. So Mikey, why don't you tell us a little bit about your work at PBS?
I've been grateful to be working at PBS for 5 years as the director of product, working in AI and innovation. It's been really fantastic and rewarding in so many ways. I work within the marketing department and the digital department, and specifically what I do there is lead AI product initiatives. And so we, a few years ago, launched the recommendation engine. So if you watched Downton Abbey, you might also like Victoria.
Love that one.
And more recently, we worked with the AWS Generative AI Innovation Center on metadata enrichment, which I'm sure we'll talk about later.
Yes.
But I'm also helping PBS transform digitally. We're at a place where we want to really enable teams with AI. And so not only have we given people access to self-service tools, but we're also trying to empower them with training programs so they really understand how to leverage AI. And that's really wonderful, too, that we have the ability to do that now in this era as a nonprofit organization.
Absolutely. And Sri?
Yeah, I've been with AWS for almost 13 years now. In my current role, head up our innovation activities within the Innovation Center. So what that really means is focusing on customer needs, where and how artificial intelligence and generative AI could be applied to bring business value for whatever it is that the customers in our case are interested in pursuing. So that's what we do. I head up a science team that focuses and works with customers globally.
I know it well. Being part of the team. Well, awesome. So happy to have both of you here and to kind of have your very diverse perspectives here. So Mikey, I want to start with you. So we all know that PBS really prides itself on delivering just meaningful content, right? And content that really changes the way people think. So question for you. How has AI specifically helped you deliver on that mission and, really connecting viewers with what it is that they need when they need it?
Mm-hmm. So our North Star is really about access, giving people the ability to watch our content on a smart TV or on their phone or on a platform that's not even ours, such as Amazon Prime Video. And so
I've heard of it.
Yeah, good, good. So, but how do we do that, right? How do we reach them where they are? How do we meet them where they are in this modern era? And that's kind of where we've been extending AI. We've been trying to find a way to leverage technology to make our experiences better for viewers and to make sure that we can deliver and distribute to the places that they need to see it. So to me, the headline for today is really simple. AI helps PBS do what we need to do, mission critical stuff, get high quality program out to every community and classroom in America. And the solutions we're deploying to do that are really about like lifting all boats, right? We're doing a lot of things that maybe are behind the scenes or in the back end to really make it easier for those folks who are busy, the content producers or the educators, and may not have really the access to the tools or the time to do some of the more granular work. So that comes to life, like you could think of it like an analyst who might be trying to get insights from data, or a journalist who's looking for a new narrative, or a content creator who wants to figure out new storytelling. And What we do at PBS and my team specifically is create solutions to help with all of that, whether directly or sort of indirectly in the back end. And that means using machine learning for automation, or using AI for prediction systems, or generative AI to help us create new content to augment a lot of the things that we're doing now.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I love in particular how you phrase it, that it's, it's about freeing up time for people who are doing the work of, educating students in the classroom, right, or searching for any sort of, enriching content. You're doing the behind the scenes work, apropos of this episode, no coincidence, so that they can do it better, right, and not think about that.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so, Sri, over to you from the Innovation Center. I know that you're focused, obviously, our customers are all the way from startups to Fortune 500s. From your vantage, what separates the organizations that get caught up kind of in the flashiness of AI and then those who actually really implement it well?
Yeah. I mean, if you step back and look at it, AI is probably the largest transformation technology that we're going through in history. But those that see this as a augmentation capability as opposed to just a technology tool and start using this by defining a business need and then working backwards to creating a solution. So what I mean by that is not get carried away by the shininess of the technology, but rather focus on the business need that you're trying to address.
Right.
Define that first, and then work backwards to using the technology to address that. So PBS is a good example where you saw a need for how you want to bring content to customers, your stakeholders better, more discoverable, and using AI to make that happen. And so I have a number of examples that I can walk through. So many of us spend a lot of time on social media, whether we admit or not. Right? So why not tap into that? So that's what LG Electronics did, is tap into a diverse set of social media channels and extract intelligence and be able to analyze product sentiment of what's working, what's not working. So you can use that then to influence your future roadmap. So really good example, and being able to do that with 99% accuracy. That's an amazing result that you can achieve. So that's what I see as a hallmark, where institutions that are successful in leveraging this technology tend to focus on business need first, define it, and then work backwards to applying AI to go achieve that outcome.
Meet them where they are, but it's also follow the data, and then that makes the tool so much more meaningful. Mikey, your team completed the launch, as you mentioned, of a full-scale AI application, a recommendation engine for the PBS app, right? And it happened in a matter of months that could have otherwise been years. Of course, you're all about deploying the right content, right, for winning hearts and minds, and we know that about PBS, and that's what makes it so beloved. But why does speed to market also matter, in the media industry? Why is that important?
Well, Sri said something really powerful. AI is being integrated everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, our phones, our televisions, our software at work, soon our cars. And so speed to market matters because this technology is so revolutionary that we, PBS, also want to be there, and we want to have presence in those same places. But in order to do that, we need to adapt to the way AI is going to change a lot of those interfaces and the way people interact with stuff. And so for us, it was really crucial, and it still is, to make sure that we can be adaptable. What we really wanted to focus on was how could we do this in a way that would make the most sense for our budget. So we looked at our transcripts and our descriptions, and we used that and narrowed down, did a model evaluation to see which models would be the best to give us the best output, and then compared that against human data, human written data, and then we deployed that. After we felt confident, we had human checks in process, and we could do it within a way, sort of a batching way, in which we could save on cost. And that allowed us to move very quickly in terms of getting everything just processed. But then the next step there was then to actually insert it into systems, to get it into search, to get it into the recommendation engine. And so simultaneously, we had another track of work that was building the building blocks, if you will, laying the foundation through a data lake house. And so using that data infrastructure, which also sits within our AWS cloud, we can put all of the outputs from this project and where we created this new metadata and have it sit in a place where then it could be served up in search or it could be served up in a recommendation engine. So we had a lot of different pipelines already moving. We're able to move the needle much quicker.
Yeah, and you say it all like, so casually, like so modestly. And yet, just to put it into perspective, we're talking about 700,000 assets.
That's right. 700,000 video assets, adding subgenres, topics, moods, and themes. Nuances, semantic nuances that matter. People search for content in different ways. Again, AI is transforming our life, but it's also shifting our behaviors. And so when we now look for a show, sometimes we're thinking about the way a show makes us feel as opposed to the title of the show, right? And so with a sort of a legacy broadcaster such as PBS, we have content management systems that are a little bit older, and the way we create metadata is very manual. And we have a network of producers and stations around the country who, again, don't have the bandwidth or the resources to do all this semantic nuance of descriptions. And so this really gives us a way to amplify or to move forward and augment what exists within some of those systems and to build on top of it without having to maybe re-architect everything or without having to go through every sort of processes and procedures with all of the different folks and make this possible happen relatively quickly in the back end.
Right. You had the full architecture in place, all the fundamentals.
Yes.
So this allowed you to move fast. What I love about that in particular, the new search tool, the new search feature, is that you can draw a blank on what a movie's called. It's like, oh, it's on the tip of my tongue, but it doesn't have to be anymore, right? Because now you can say something like, I think I saw like visually stunning, and it's like, well, that could be a lot of things, but it also gives you new ideas. You never would have even considered certain pieces of content, and now it's served up to you. So
for sure, and that's where machine learning can really help to sort of analyze at scale, and then AI can make the predictions, and then we can deliver it. We want people to feel like we are giving them the stuff that's relevant to them and that will really bring them the joy in entertaining themselves with PBS content.
Right. If it wasn't the Muppets the first time around, they'll fall in love all over again with PBS. Okay, so Sri, I want to talk to you now a little bit about that because we hear about this efficiency unlock, from Mikey. But I want you to talk a little bit more about what you're seeing, when you see those efficiency gains and how that frees up time for teams to just focus on higher value work.
Right. A good example of that is what Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA, here in the U.S., like most agencies, they handle a lot of paper. They have a lot of document processing needs that they go through. And so using AI, they've been able to deploy an intelligent document processing solution, and that allows them to reduce 85% of what was being manually handled beforehand to try and automate that so that you can get efficiencies out of it. Now, a lot of that workforce is actually now focused on driving higher value benefits and services to EPA and ultimately to the citizens. So that's an example of where you can drive using AI to try and improve efficiencies internally. If you look at another example, Itaú Unibanco, a very large financial institution or bank in Latin America, what they've done is using AI to try and personalize investment advisory services that they are able to offer to customers. And so by using AI, they understand your needs specifically and then are able to personalize the type of investment products that you may be most interested in, and therefore make sure that you're spending time reviewing assets, reviewing products that are more likely in your space of interest, as opposed to bombarding you with a number of products that they may offer. So again, using AI to try and find efficiencies so that you're able to get to the outcomes faster and improve customer experience overall. So this is a common theme that we see across what Mikey touched on, which is using AI to tag 700,000 plus video assets so that they become a lot more searchable. They become using natural language capabilities to be able to search across those assets and bring back relevant assets and incorporate that into whatever it is that your customers are doing.
And it is those subtleties too, right? You might not know that it's like, oh, I'm suddenly having a better viewer experience, or I'm suddenly able to find something more easily, or this this bank recommendation is actually a little bit more tailored to my unique financial needs. And you don't really think about it, and you move on with your day. It's not really happenstance or coincidence. Like, there's a lot of smart people, like the two of you, working behind the scenes.
I mean, these are tangible use cases that you can apply AI to now and get the benefits right away while you're improving internal efficiencies and trying to get the value out to your customers faster. You could also be working in parallel for those big ideas that you want to pursue with AI.
Exactly. Okay, so pivoting a little bit, public trust. It's critical for large corporations. It's critical for public media, in particular. Mikey, I'm curious, as you introduce more AI and all this, automation, these capabilities to your work, what are you also thinking about when you think about, your data, your brand, and protecting both in terms of, data privacy, IP sensitivity? How does that come up for you, and what are you doing to address that head on?
So when we think about deploying AI and where we deploy AI, whether it's for our own internal organization's workflows or if it's for externally on how we deliver or distribute to our audiences, we've got to be really smart about that and make wise choices about doing it safely and securely. And of course, AWS is a wonderful walled garden, if you will, an environment in which we can do that in. And it's a safe sandbox for us to play in as well if we want to be more innovative in certain ways and test things first before we deploy them. We can do that without compromising security or compromising data. As it relates to editorial, our PBS editorial standards team does draft really rich guidelines that are about accuracy and fairness and inclusivity and transparency. So if our creators are using AI to maybe help reenact or reimagine a scene from a historical position, that they're doing it in such a way and disclosing to our audiences appropriately. And then we will disclose it to our audiences too, to make sure that they understand how we are using AI in the right ways. And so that's how we're doing it from an editorial standpoint. But then internally, we also are establishing the right guardrails and protocols to make sure that our staff understand how to use these tools. I think a big challenge that any organization is going to be facing right now, of course, data privacy is one of it, right? There's a lot of free tools on the marketplace. Not all of them are great. And a lot of folks don't even necessarily, it's a new paradigm shift. It's a new behavior to interact, even with just prompting, right? So I think that what we're seeing is that some folks don't have the same sort of baseline understanding of the way to really use tools and how to use those tools. And so we're trying to provide that sort of training and governance internally to make sure that our staff also understand for their internal workflows what the right data privacy controls are, what the right use cases are, to make sure that they can do their work better and that they can then serve more valuable things that focus align to our mission.
Yeah. If you're training your team internally behind the scenes, you have the guardrails, and then people feel safe experimenting, right? And you sleep well at night leading the team.
I try to sleep well.
You try to sleep. Yeah. A little melatonin helps at times. So Sri, data protection and security are so critical. How do you then balance that with customers who want to move fast, who are excited about AI, but hold on a second, like we have these non-negotiables?
Yeah, I think the word non-negotiable is probably the right way to put it for us, right? So for us, security starts from the ground up. It is not an afterthought. You need to bake security into any and all architectural designs that you're thinking about before you actually go about building those. So when you do that, security actually becomes an enabler as opposed to it being a friction, right? So if you start incorporating security into every layer of how you build your solution, how you deliver value to your customers, it becomes a fast track. It becomes a flywheel for further down the line, additional innovation that you're doing. It lets you move faster because you have the confidence that your assets are protected, the way you're communicating, the way you're interacting with your customers is safe and secure. And so when you look at AWS services themselves in the space of generative AI, whether it's Amazon Bedrock or Amazon Bedrock Agent Core for agent-specific activities, security is built right in, all the way from data at rest security as well as in-transit security. So when data is moving between services or between a customer and one of our services, it's encrypted by default. And so what that allows us, our customers to do, such as PBS, is that they feel confident by looking at the security posture that AWS brings, and then they're able to bring additional layers of security that's appropriate for their specific needs easily. So that layered security paradigm is really, really important. And we actually see a lot of companies that are interested in data protection and privacy and security leaning into AWS and actually building solutions on top of it. I'll give you a couple of examples.
Yeah.
Harmonic Security is in the space of security for customers. So they've been able to use AI services in AWS and actually reduce incident response time or investigation time by 65%.
That's huge.
Wow.
So that's using their core area of focus is security of data, but using AI in AWS, they're actually reducing the investigation time by 65%, therefore getting to outcomes faster. If you look at a company like Druva, again, a company that's in the security space, cybersecurity space, supporting over 6,000 companies globally, all the way from Fortune 500s to small and medium-sized companies and some public sector organizations as well. In their case, they've used AI capabilities into their new offering called Drew AI, and that product allows significant time savings for customers in cybersecurity space. So it's a perfect combination of you're safe and secure, but you're also innovating quickly in the age of AI.
Right. Secure by default is
That's
what we
correct.
like to say. Yeah.
That's correct.
And it's quite a testament to having these, security-focused entities, coming to AWS to say, okay, we're going to, trust in the work that you're doing. We're going to layer on, what we're providing. And then they have that sort of airtight seal.
That's correct. So it's a secure AI paradigm that we're able to unleash.
Right. So now a question for both of you. I like to call this a lightning round, which means literally nothing other than both of you get to answer. Is that, as you think about executives out there who might be kind of similarly eyeing these, AI innovations for, call it human impact, for everyday impact on real humans, what is one piece of advice that each of you have, one of the highest priority items that may often get overlooked?
Start small, right? Pick one really valuable use case, high impact, low risk use case, and think about sort of the core components, right? For us, we've been talking about search and recommendation engine, but really what we did is we focused on sort of the foundational components with metadata and thinking through taxonomies, classifications, and how that can then be leveraged to any form. Yes, chatbots are great, but you may not need a chatbot. What you might actually need to start with is some of that foundational stuff so that you can, when you are ready to create an agent or a chatbot, you've got the foundations there. So start small. And then for those who are in the nonprofit space, mission is purpose, right? What we do, the trust is what it really matters. And so keep that as one of the tenets or one of the milestones that you bring into that process, right? Know who you are and make sure that you use AI appropriately. AI is not a silver bullet. It is not the solution to every problem. And so therefore, we have to be smart about when we use it and to use it appropriately for the right things. And sometimes we can get sort of lost, especially with all the hype around it, around things that we could do with it. But it's really powerful and really wonderful applications are sometimes overlooked by things that might be more shiny object, if you will. And with nonprofits, we have the ability, or maybe the opportunity, if you will, to lead this narrative, to really show how to use AI for good purposes and to sort of break through the hype cycles to show that we can harness this technology in powerful ways to do mission critical things. So to get there, you've got to obviously have human controls. You've got to be focused on your own mission. But most importantly, you need to start small. You don't have to boil the ocean, if you will.
And yes, this is the anti-hype show. So nicely said there. And Sri.
I'll plus one to everything that Mikey said.
Great, we can go home.
Yeah. Maybe I'll offer three things. For sure, this tech has AI, broadly speaking, generative, agentic AI, offers so much potential value that every institution across the globe is going to transform over time. But don't wait, right? Don't wait for someone else to do it for you or to you. Rather, start experimenting, start learning, start playing with it. Don't wait because this is moving too fast for you to be sitting and waiting. And so don't be on the sidelines. So that's number one. Number two, as Mikey said, start small, but think big, right? So you don't want to start and stay small. You want to have a bold idea, but certainly start small, experiment in a controlled manner. There are a number of use cases. As we talk today, there are a number of use cases that you can apply AI today. You don't need to wait, right? And gain immediate value right away within days, weeks, months. So it's not necessarily that you have to have a really big idea to go after AI. Look at what you're doing now and see where AI can augment, where AI can help you move fast, where AI can help you save costs, right? There are a number of areas where you can apply AI now while also thinking about that bigger picture, think big ideas. The third area I would say is don't forget the production stage. Experimentation gets a lot of people excited. They go off and do lots of fun experiments, but they forget about what does it mean to take this into production and actually gain business value. And so one of the areas in that final phase is change management.
It's critical.
Which is critical, right? Because this technology is changing not just what we do, but how we do. And so incorporate change management principles from day one so that when you are going into production, you're not surprising your stakeholders, your employees, your customers on the last minute, but rather you're incorporating them into the thought processes, into change management, so you have proper procedures in place, because that ultimately gets you into production, stay in production, and derive the business benefits that you're hoping to get when you started this whole journey.
I love that. So it's experiment, but be production-minded, right?
That's correct.
Okay, well, both of you, this has been such a pleasure. I know I've learned a lot about even more invisible ways that AI was happening in the background. I'm grateful to you both.